Hi, it's John. Slightly different video today. I'm going to show you what gear I'm currently using. I've had an email come in asking me what gear do we use for live sessions. A few of you have seen the live Kemper stuff I've done in here, what I use in the studio. I love Kemper units. I think they're fantastic. Or Axe Effects, any of those sort of real high-end modelers. That's kind of the way the things are going. But I mean, I'm just as happy to sit with an old valve rig and, you know, stick me in an AC30 any day and it'll sound great or whatever. So what I'm using at the moment for live gigs currently is this Gibson Custom Shop 339. Beautiful sounding thing. Really easy to play. You can get all your jazz, all your blues, rock, reggae, whatever you like. Really nice tones out of that. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about the pedals I'm using, the amp. Yeah, cool. Let's have a look at the different things. So, I've got a really simple live setup pedal board at the moment. What I've got, going from right to left here, is just, if I turn the amp on, I'll give you a shout. I've got an old Boss Chromatic tuner, a TU2. I've had it for about 10 years. Really works well. Tunes your guitar, as you'd expect. Doesn't help me sound any better, obviously. I need a miracle for that, not a nice tuner. But, that's fine. Cool. Then this second unit here, none of you will recognise because it's the only one. It's a custom fuzz pedal made for me by a friend of mine called Sean. If I just turn that up. And he works from home. He doesn't really sell too many of these. He just made me it as a bit of a favour. And it's a really cool little pedal. If you're mixing it with a few of the distortion pedals, I'll show you in a second. Really cool. So I'm going to turn that off, and then I'm going to go to the ZVEX Distortron. I use this for my main sort of emulation of an old JTM 45 kind of sound, a rocking kind of Marshall. I'll just turn the amp up slightly. Really cool sound. Then we've got the Carl Martin Plexitone. It's just a single channel one. I know they do a double one, but this is for a more sort of cooked plexi lead sound. So that's really cool. And then we have the Clean Boost EP Boost from Exotic Effects. It's really good. So the difference between that is really cool. Then I've got just a simple DD3, which I just use, contrary to some people's taste. I just put it straight through the front end of an amp. I never really play too much on distorted stuff, just for a little bit of colour. So mixing a few of these sounds together, I might want a bit of that distortion and delay. And you might put some fuzz on the top for a lead sound. Or you might go Carl Martin Plexitone with this fuzz pedal for a full sort of saturated lead sound. And then if I was wanting any of those kind of sounds to be amplified a bit more for solos, I use that Clean Boost. So when gigging medium-sized gigs to larger venues, I just use a single channel valve head. I'm never usually fussy about what it is. As long as it's loud and clean and sounds alright, I can get the rest from whatever pedals I'm using. So in this case, I'm using a Budda SuperDrive 45 Series 2 amp. I think it's a KT66 valved amp, but again, I'm not too sure because I'm not too bothered. Lots of players are really into different valves and different sounding amps and things like that. I'm not really fussy about gear too much. I just like to take as little as possible and try and sound good. What it does, it's a single channel amp on, well, it's kind of a double channel, but it's got a push and pull on the same channel, which changes it to distortion. So first of all, the clean settings. So I just use a master volume, have it nice and sort of clean. Really cool sounding thing. And then it's got bass, really good bass response on this amp. Goes from 1 to death on the bass. Then we have a push-pull modern sounding switch on the mids, so you can leave all the mids out. You can put them back in if you wish. And then use that modern switch. I think that's aiming to give you that sort of American clean Fendery sort of sound. Treble knob is really good. Goes from dull to teeth shattering, which is great. And then you have a drive, just like a sort of a master volume. You can use it with that, so you can keep your drive all the way up if you want that clipped sort of clean sound. And then a pull bright switch, so just puts a bit of brightness in. So if we're going to do a going to get sort of bright clean sounds, then going on this, if we pull this out, it becomes channel 2 or side 2 of this channel or whatever. It turns into more of a gain channel. There is a real big jump in volume, and I don't ever use this channel, but it's a really nice sounding thing if you're going to use it, but I think that needs taming rather than using. So that's just a brief look at my current live rig. You might be surprised, you might not. I'm not really a fussy player with lots of pedals. I generally use the idea that if I get a good standard clean tone and then my basic clean and lead rhythm, you can find that a studio engineer can usually add the reverb he wants, or you can add a delay that's great or whatever. I do take things out occasionally if the gig demands it, so if I need a wah pedal or a phaser or whatever, I'll do whatever that sort of session demands at the time. But yeah, the recipe for me is just simple. Get a good tone, work with that, try and be a good player. It hasn't worked for me yet, but I'm working on it. But yeah, cool. If you have any more questions, please email me in, guys. It's really good to start emailing people and sort of interacting across the web. Cool.